Well, this has got to be the longest winded repair in terms of distance travel to me I've ever done. This started life in China, went to America, and was installed in my friend George's house, rather badly, and packed up and has now been sent here to be sorted out. Well, there's a little bit of a problem there because, of course, over here in the UK, our mains voltage is, well, they say 220, but I measured mine this morning and it's 248, so I guess we're still on the old 250. But this transformer in here is only tapped for 120 volts. So obviously running it off the mains was never going to do, was it? Because otherwise it's possible schnappen die Spriggenwerk, blown fuse and popping corken mit Spitz and Sparken, as they never said in Germany. There's the funny little plugs they use, little 2-pin thing. I've seen these on some very old hi-fi component systems, where the amplifier has a couple of these so you can plug a record deck in, and possibly a tape deck. But it's more or less like a speaker lead. It's even got a white trace of a positive, although there doesn't seem to be anything to stop you plugging it in whichever way you like. But, so what to do? Well, the only thing I can do with this to make this run was to try and ascertain what the innards actually run on, because they don't run on the mains. This isn't an old machine with valves or tubes in it or anything like that, and a big AC motor that relied on the 60 CPS system they have over there. No, this is Chinese junk, really. So the only thing they would do different if they were making this for Europe or the UK is to replace this transformer with one that was capable of, well, it'd probably be 230 volts, so it would be suitable for European countries. Let me put it that way. And you can see on here somewhere, I do believe it actually says 120. There, it's stamped on it. So what to do in the meantime? Well, having ascertained that it runs actually at about 12 volts DC, of course the seam was set to run it off the solar panels on the battery and through the old H&M controller, and then to a jack plug that I fitted on the back. And that means that if she does want to come here and stay here, then she'll be able to run it off a 12 volt DC supply. So yeah, all well and good, and disregard this. Now, the reason this wouldn't go was that part of the motorboard on the CD player itself was damaged, and you can see there where I carefully glued it back together, making sure I got it as straight as I could. She has an autistic son by her first marriage who isn't, well, she isn't, well, she tells me that he ain't exactly too careful with things like this, shall I say. This is designed to be fitted underneath a kitchen cupboard, the ones that go on the wall. Hence the funny top that looks as if it's the bottom. Yeah, I saw somebody in Asda look like that earlier on. You couldn't tell what was the top and what was the bottom. Anyway, it doesn't sound too brilliant, of course. It is a chink, but I have got the CD player to go, which is a miracle for me. The radio on this thing is a curious mixture of digital and analog. The tuning is done there and is geared, but it's geared rather too high, so it's very, very, very touchy indeed when you come to try to tune a station in, and it doesn't seem to quite pull them in. The scale goes like ours does, from roughly sort of 88 to 108, but it doesn't seem to run all that well. And the other thing is that there's no tone control or bass boost or nothing at all like that. Bugger all. It's very, very basic. But we'll give it a whirl and see what happens. Bang! Oh shit. Well, that seems to work. Penguin Cafe Orchestra there. And as you can see, the skip thing works well enough. Seems to go through all right. Now, I don't know if you've noticed something about these, but all these CD players do it. Now, when you put an LP on, it goes at a steady 33 1/3 RPM, doesn't it? And what that means is that at the edge of the record, because the circumference is bigger, the footage per second passing the stylus is greater than it will be in the middle of the record, where the circumference is lesser, and so of course the footage ain't so high. But with these CD things, they do it backwards. What you get is the thing starts from the middle, the laser, and it moves outwards. And as it moves outwards, the speed of the disc is slowed accordingly to compensate. All very clever stuff, but it's just something else to go wrong, isn't it? You know, when you think of it. I mean, actually, that isn't the worst sound I've ever heard from something like this. Some of those crapophone things are truly horrendous, aren't they? I've never forgotten Richard at Spannerworks' channel say crapophone, and I think it was him that came up with it first. Hilarious term for such equipment. And what have we got here? It says GPX under cabinet CD radio, and you can see there the specification: 120 volt, 60 CPS, and 11 watts. So presumably when running on our mains, if you did put another transformer in it, you'd find that it would only draw about 5 or 6 watts. And you've got a battery pack there. You put 2 AAA batteries in, because this thing has a clock on the front, and I can't work out how to do it. I haven't got the instructions for it, but well, dear old Susanna, she just wanted the CD player rectifying. So to that end, at least I've managed to do that. So yes. Yeah. Do you know what? Years ago, Chinese junk was a picturesque Chinese sailing boat, wasn't it? Nowadays, it seems to be any sort of appliance you'd care to mention, and many that you wouldn't. Dear, oh dear. Still, at least as they say in the deep south, we all got this fixed. See you soon. Y'all come back now.